So one of the things I wish I would have known maybe 10 years ago when I was like 23 is that failure or failing or the fear of failure is a stupid reason not to do whatever you want to do. We look at the wins and the times that we you know, knock it out of the park on the first try, or when we really excel at something easily, or even when we just like work really hard, put our nose in a book or just grind and achieve something big. We take that as a sign to keep doing what we're doing. That's a lesson. Winning is a lesson. Positive feedback. But why don't we think the same thing about failure? Because in reality, failure is just a lesson. It's an opportunity to learn. And to be honest with you, I think the thing that's helped me out the most in my 30s so far is not just not being afraid to fail, but allowing myself to freely fail. And what I mean by that is nothing amazing or great has ever been, given to the world without trial and error. I feel like jumping into something, doing what you love, creating whatever, it's a trial and error. The mistakes or the missteps or the embarrassing moments that we have whenever we are figuring it out is important, because the failures or the mistakes that we make along the way, I think we actually learn the most from. Kind of like when a kid touches a stove, and learns that, it's hot, don't touch that. That they remember that a lot more than, mom telling them not to touch the stove, right? Well, I've been there. So I urge you to reframe your mind or reframe how you think of failure versus success. What is success? What is failure? I think they're both pretty much the same, but on opposite ends of the spectrums. Polarity, opposites. One can't exist without the other. But failing at something or making a mistake or falling flat, on a certain thing does not necessarily mean that you are a failure, So I think we have to get rid of the stigma or fear of being embarrassed. Because anytime that you want to do something, anytime you want to do anything great, you're going to be seen, right? You're putting yourself out there to be seen because you feel like you have something to say, something to do, and there's a reason behind it. So why on earth would you be so afraid of being embarrassed or not being good at something right off the bat that you don't pursue it? Because those mistakes also help other people. The mistakes that you make, the failures, the missteps, they're all part of your journey. They're all part of the story that you're gonna end up telling, hopefully, and you'll see like the impact that they'll have on people coming up behind you. I think we need to really own our mistakes and really own what we call failures, because it may save somebody else who is navigating, this journey, and it may save them some time, being a pioneer. And the funny thing is also, whenever we think of failure, whenever we think of, embarrassing moments, cringing at our past selves, it's like, how many times have you done something, created something or whatever, and years down the line, as you get more versed in it, more experience, you look back at what you thought was so good in the moment. You thought it was so great. There've been so many times I've posted videos like and done tarot stuff on my other channel where like I'll watch it back like a year or two later and I'm like, what the hell is this? You know, like I'm embarrassed. I want to delete it. But at the time, I thought it was great. I thought it was everything because that's where I was at my development. So you gotta take it easy on yourself, you know. And I think a big thing about this idea of fear of failure is we compare ourselves too much. We compare ourselves way too much to, say, experts and basically the finished product. You know, when you see somebody excelling at what they do, when you see someone presenting something and it's finished and it's done and it's amazing, you're only seeing the finished product. You don't see how many takes it took for them to get it just right, how many, you know, drafts they had to come up with, how many years and they had to put into it, how many times they had to literally mess it up in order to get it right. So we judge ourselves based on a finished product or an edited version of something instead of like comparing ourselves to our past versions of ourselves. That's the only competition that you should be in. I feel like it's good to be inspired by other people's work or be inspired by what's come before, but to compare yourself to it is dangerous because no matter how hard you try to get it just right, your brand of whatever is not going to be somebody else's, you know? So celebrate your authenticity, celebrate your uniqueness, because your voice or your way of doing something is right. It's not is winning. It is success. When you can figure out a way to deliver it and not lose yourself or not think too much about, do I look or sound like this person or that person? Because every time you do that, you're gonna fail. And hopefully you'll fail enough to realize like, hey, what can I do to correct this? What can I do to shift? How can I take what I have and make it something better than I've ever imagined? Compare yourself and compete with the past versions of you, and you'll win every time. Fearing failure to the point where you don't even try is the failure. That's failing. That's not gonna get you anywhere. So I think someone who is trying, flailing, flopping is better than someone who is not doing anything but dreaming, you know? So let yourself fail freely, because at the end of the day, no one's paying as much attention to you as you are paying to you. No one is remembering all the little things that you've said and done. They don't. Sometimes we put a magnifying glass over ourselves, like as to what we're doing, or sometimes we put like a microscope, you know, to us and believe that we're being watched a little harder than we really are. You know, people aren't as involved as you think they are. And even if they were, do you care so much about what other people are doing that you hold it against them forever? I hope you don't. when someone does something embarrassing, do you literally remember it every waking moment of your life? No. You let them live. You laugh at them, you keep going. It's okay. And once you fully embrace this idea of allowing yourself to just fail freely, you're gonna win. You're gonna be abundant. You're gonna be all the things that you wanted to be, but probably more. And I hope whenever you get there, you'll remind us once again to stop caring so much about what people think and just do, you know? But this is my thoughts for today.